Ryan 4664 said game looks great, but not familiar with a game development cycle. What stage of development are you at? We're kind of at a weird stage in that we're doing what would probably for a lot of teams be considered a very, very extensive. Let me start with the short answer. We're developing a proof of concept, so essentially a vertical slice. The goal there is to have all of our core systems online. Examples of all of our core content and concepts are in and functional, and then really getting to a point where the conversation is just about how do we scale this. Now, unlike every team I've ever been on that's done a vertical slice or proof of concept or gone through any sort of a green light process, we are giving ourselves the time to basically be in pre-production slash in a kind of in that vertical slice phase. We're giving ourselves all the time that we need, basically fully dependent on the community's patience with us, and that's you guys, and the team's patient, right? Like the team, everybody starts getting burned out and they're like, you know, essentially want to be at a different stage. You know, the whole team's dedicating their free time to it. We're all volunteering, and we've been doing so for I would say just over 2 years, but it's to build out what we feel is a solid representation of the game. If the team gets to a point where like, hey, we need to basically be able to be full-time and dedicated to this, or be at a certain stage, or we're just out of here, then, you know, it's a serious discussion about how do we switch to really focus more just on funding. But we're making a very unique feeling game with a very specific target audience, very niche. So our goal has been to kind of avoid any outside influence on the game for as long as possible. You know, because we don't want to compromise the game that we're trying to make. And that possibility will exist anytime you're taking somebody else's money. So what we're doing is we're moving as fast as we can to get to a point where you guys see that it's a real game. Everything's here. Everything works. It's just a matter of how do we make more of it and get it to a more polished state. I always put the disclaimer of like, before we take your money, we want to prove that there is a real game here. Opinion that we're getting back from folks that have been in friends and family, and folks that are just kind of familiar with us in the industry, you know, is very sort of positive and saying, hey, you guys are definitely getting there. So we are in the proof of concept phase. But we may basically go from what is essentially pre-production proof of concept straight into a bit of scaling, straight into a form of live. So we'll see.